Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a dice roll deck profile. So I'm really excited guys, because this is actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Izzy. And this deck is a super cool deck that basically revolves around dice rolls, which is super amazing. I love the way the deck plays, being able to summon out Duke Devlin's Ace Monster, Orgoth the Relentless, with all sorts of other dice roll cards mixed in along the way. So, without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name searched every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test stands. So, without further ado, let's get straight on into this, and definitely give Izzy some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Orgoth the Relentless. This card is an amazing card and actually super easy to summon in this deck with the tech cards that we're playing. And it has the ability that once per turn during the main phase, it has the ability that you can roll 3 6-sided die. And depending on the result, this card gains 100 attack times the number, which is a pretty interesting thing. This card can get absolutely massive. And if you get a pair on your dice roll, then you get different effects. If you get a pair of 1 or 2, then this card cannot be destroyed by battle by card effects until the end of your opponent's turn. If you get a 3 and a 4, or a 3 or a 4 pair, then you can draw 2 cards. And if you get a 5 or a 6 pair, then this card can attack directly this turn, which is a very good effect to be able to do. Just go in for attacks directly, be able to draw 2 additional cards, which is always an extremely powerful effect, or have a little bit of protection scar. But if you roll and all 3 of the dice are the same, you get all of those effects, which is a really amazing thing. We then play 3 copies of Dark Master Zork. This card is an extremely powerful ritual monster that does revolve around dice rolling and has a very interesting ability that you can once per turn roll a 6-sided die, and depending on the result, he gets different effects. If you roll a 1 or a 2, you destroy all monsters your opponent's side of the field, which is an extremely powerful effect to basically just be a walking Raigeki. If you roll a 3, 4, or 5, you destroy a monster on your opponent's side of the field, but if you roll a 6, you destroy all monsters on your side of the field, which is the only downside of this card. It is an extremely powerful boss monster and is super good for this deck. We then play a single copy of Chalice Slime. This is basically here so we can have an additional ritual monster to reveal off our other incantations, but it's super powerful to be able to use this card to be able to get the exact incantation you need on your side of the field so you can summon out your copy of Dark Master Zork. We then play 3 copies of Dice Jar. Dice Jar is a really powerful card, especially with all the other techs we're playing in the deck, and has the ability that when it's flipped face up, both players roll a 6-sided die, and the player with the lowest result takes damage equal to their opponent's roll times 500. However, if the winner rolled a 6, the loser takes 6,000 points of damage, and if the rolls are the same, you roll again. This card is an extremely powerful card that can completely close out a game if it's flipped face up. It's amazing to be able to play this card, and it's a super amazing card to just let your opponent attack into to be able to go in for game. We then play 3 copies of Manju of the 10,000 Hands. This card is basically here because you can normal summon it and grab the exact ritual monster or ritual spell that you need to go in for your plays. We then play 3 copies of Incantation Talismandra. Talismandra is really good because all of your incantations share the same ability that you either reveal a ritual monster or a ritual spell to be able to special summon them to your side of the field, and then once you do, you special summon out another incantation to your side of the field from your deck. Now the one that's special summoned from the deck gets a unique ability between searching a ritual monster, a ritual spell, or getting a ritual monster or ritual spell back from the graveyard. Now Talismandra has a really neat ability that you reveal a ritual monster in your hand to special summon it, and if it's special summoned from the deck, then you get to add a ritual monster from your deck to your hand. We then play 3 copies of Kandal. Kandal will let you search ritual spells, but you have to reveal a ritual monster to special summon it to your side of the field. Bookstone has the ability to reveal a ritual spell to special summon it to your side of the field, and if it's special summoned from the deck, then you can add a ritual spell from your graveyard to your hand. And then finally, Pencil Plume lets you reveal a ritual monster from your hand to be able to special summon it, and if it's special summoned from the deck, you add a ritual monster from your graveyard to your hand. These are basically here because you can special summon them to your side of the field with your copy of Zork and your ritual spells, Skills and your copy of Talisman, or your copy of Chalice Slime, to be able to put it on your side of the field to then use to tribute summon out your copy of Orgoth the Relentless, while also setting up for your copy of Dark Master Zork, which is really amazing for this build. We're then playing 2 copies of the original Tri-Horn Dragon. This card is really amazing in this deck and really good because it is a 2850 normal summon, but it also has the ability that you can use it with your copy of Advanced Ritual Art. Now this could be any level 8 monster, but I really thought that the Tri-Horn Dragon went well with this deck because of it being primarily a dark deck and playing Dark Master Zork, which was pretty much the final villain of the original series, is just really cool to combo with a copy of Tri-Horn Dragon to be able to summon out your copy of Dark Master Zork. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. If you guys are looking for a budget option for the Tri-Horn Dragon, I will mention you guys you can use Blue Eyes White Dragon instead. So let's go into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Roulette Spider. Roulette Spider is a really good card for this deck because it does revolve around dice rolls, and depending on the dice roll that you get, it gets different abilities. That when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you roll a 6-sided die and then you apply the effect depending on the roll. If you roll a 1, make your life points or half your life points. If you roll a 2, make this attack a direct attack. If you roll a 3, choose a monster that you control and change the attack to that monster and then perform damage calculation. If you roll a 4, you choose one other monster that your opponent controls and change the attack target to that monster and perform damage calculation. If you roll a 5, you negate the attack, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack, and if you roll a 6, you just destroy that monster. This card is really good. If you get a high roll, then you get a better effect for you. If you get a low roll, you get a better effect for your opponent. So the card is really good 2 of. I probably wouldn't play it any more than 2, but it's super cool to play in this deck. We then play 3 copies of Diced Dice. Diced Dice is a really neat card because it has the ability that you roll a 6-sided die, and if the roll is a 1 or a 6, you get to add a card from your deck to your hand that requires a dice roll, and if you roll a number that was other than 1 or 6, you roll the dice again, and depending on what you rolled the second time depends on the ability. If you roll a 1 or 6 on the second try, then you get to return this card to your hand, but if you roll a 2, 3, 4, or 5, you place this card on the top of the deck, which is not the greatest effect. We then play a single copy of Incantation Inception because it's a really good ritual spell to go in for different plays. We play 2 copies of Advanced Ritual Art. The reason we play that is because we go for the Tri-Horn Dragon to send for this card from the deck to the graveyard to summon out our copy of Zork. We play 3 copies of our Contract with the Dark Master. This card is basically here because you can add it from your deck to your hand extremely easily, and you want to have it to be able to reveal your incantations with this card to be able to summon out your copy of Zork. I did consider bumping this card down to 1, or not down to 1, but down to 2, but it is an option for you guys if you want to do that. But it's a really good card because basically it just ritual summons out your Dark Master Zork to your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Pre-Preparation of Rites. Pre-Preparation of Rites is really good because this card will let you add your copy of Contract with the Dark Master and your copy of your Dark Master Zork from your deck to your hand, which is a pretty good effect to be able to grab the exact monsters that you need to summon out that insanely powerful boss monster. So that's it for these spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just playing 3 traps, and it's going to be 3 copies of That 6. That 6 is a really powerful card that basically has the ability that each time a player rolls a die or a dice, then you can choose 1 die result and then apply the appropriate effect based on the result. If you roll a 1, 3, or 5, the die result becomes a 6. If you roll a 2, 4, 6, the result becomes a 1, which is really powerful for this deck because this card basically can let any of your die rolls be the exact die roll that you need as long as you roll kind of what you need already, which is really cool because basically it turns it into where you have 4 chances on the dice instead of 1 chance on the dice to get a die roll of 6 to get an insanely powerful effect for your cards, or a die roll of 1 to get an insanely powerful effect on some of your cards. This card is a really good 3-of in the deck, and it's just really fun to be able to play. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, you don't really need an extra deck for this deck since you are playing the incantations. I did consider playing Pot of Extravagance in the deck, which you guys can put in if you want to for some of the other cards in the deck, but basically this is just a bunch of toolbox link monsters and some really good suggestions for you guys that you can summon summon out in the deck. So first off, we're going to be playing a single copy of Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep is a really good card because if you ritual summon, you get to draw 2 and then discard 2, which can help you dig into the deck a little bit. We then play a single copy of Access Code Talker, which can give us multiple pops on the field, which is just super helpful for this deck to be able to get multiple pops off this card. One copy of Boral Sword to help us go in for OTKs if we can summon it. One copy of Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos, because it's super easy to summon with your copy of Dark Master Zork and your Orgoth the Relentless, which is just really amazing. And this card is really good if you summon this card out using a level 7 or higher. One copy of Topologic Trisbania, because Trisbania can just deal with all sorts of back row that your opponent might play against us. One copy of Unicorn to spin stuff, Phoenix to pop spells and traps, and Cerberus to pop monsters. Now these are cards I will summon all the time, is Cerberus and Phoenix, to be able to pop cards, which is just super helpful. One copy of Pentastag, because the monster it points to does piercing damage, which is pretty good with Orgoth. One copy of IP Masquerena, because it lets us go into link plays during our opponent's turn, like the copy of Unicorn, which is just super helpful. Number 97, because it helps us go in for some really powerful dragon monsters like number 38, or number 100, which is super easy to summon. Depending on what you need, either a spell negate or a 9,000 attack point monster, you can summon either or, which is really powerful. One copy of Dingirsu, because when it's link summon, or when it's Xyz summon, it sends a card on the field to the graveyard, which is really good. And then finally, since we're playing Xyz cards, we're playing a single copy of Zeus in the deck, because Zeus can just completely board wipe the field. Now again, you can play Pot of Extravagance in the deck. I didn't, because of the effect of Orgoth being able to draw 2. I didn't want to turn that effect off with the copy of Extravagance, because you can't draw for the rest of the turn with Extravagance. You can play Prosperities instead if you want to, but then your opponent takes half damage for the rest of the turn, but that's totally up to you if you'd like to play those cards. So that's it for the deck, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. It's a really fun deck to be able to play around with. You can basically play any dice card that you want in this deck, but this is a really awesome build, which you guys will see in the test hands how powerful this deck can actually perform, and I'm really excited to show you guys the test hands for this deck. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.